What's up YouTube, this is Fate, bringing you another deck profile, and today I'm going to be bringing you my Noble Knight deck. Now, ever since the Value Cube opening, and again I want to thank every one of my viewers on that one, that has been one of my biggest openings, aside from the Battle City Pack opening, and I just felt the support from all the views out there. Thank you very much for that one. And since I got the value cubes, obviously you saw this one coming, I had to build my own rendition / fun deck with Noble Knights. And as far as Noble Knights go, they were always that interesting deck profile that you didn't want to face when they're really good in their, or let's just say when they're really good for the meta they were in at the time. But their type of unique style and play, I just had to try this out for myself. And normally with me, just to keep them in the loop for doing some crazy things in this meta, I decided to throw in some fun wrinkles myself. So without further ado, let's get to the deck profile. For the Noble Knight engine, we start out with 3 Noble Knight Madrat and 3 Noble Knight Boars. Pretty much the double trio that you want to play in most of your Noble Knight decks. The next, I run double Noble Knight Brothers, and I'm surprised that Brothers isn't being used as much as I thought they normally would. Mainly because he is the recycler of the deck. Kind of the same reasoning that I use with Jar of Avarice in my TG Necros deck profile. Noble Knight Brothers definitely serves the same type of purpose, and 2400 defense with no drawback for a level 4 monster is nothing short of spectacular. Next, we run double Merlin. And why double Merlin, you say? Well, A, I did not have a third one, but B, I don't think I will be putting a third one in the future anyway, just because 2 seems to be the good ratio with the type of setup I do have with this deck profiles, and he is definitely a fantastic spellcaster to have. And to round out the Noble Knight side of it, I run 2 Guinevere, Queen of the Noble Arms. 2 because it's good to have in the graveyard, or have that 2 number to get to it a little more quickly. But 3 would be, as much as I tested with it, it turned out to be more of a dead draw in the hand than anything. So 2 was the optimal number for that. And for that wrinkle, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Double Jet Synchron and 1 Unknown Synchron. Now, before you're probably already going, what the hell is this a part of? And this is my explanation of it. It's mainly because of the level 5 synchro that the Noble Knights pack. And I just want to focus in on one thing, specifically the line right here, if the camera will focus, if it'll focus. But just the fact that right here it says 1 tuner, 1 or more non-tuner Noble Knight monsters, there we go. Meaning that you don't have to have Lady of the Lake or Light Attribute Effect Failure to meet the requirements of this guy to abuse the synchro power of the Noble Knights. So I figured, why not pack this deck with Synchron power, which are otherwise known as some of the faster tuner level 1 archetypes out there in the game today. So we've got the 1 Glow Ball of Light Recurrer for Jet Synchron, which also helps spin dead cards like Guinevere or other things from your hand to the graveyard to be used later. And Unknown Synchron, in case you do not pull off your normal rank 5 or rank 4 play, you can use this with one of your level 4 Noble Knight monsters, go into the level 5 guy, and still spit out some of those equip cards that you need to circulate right away for the build. And these things have not failed to deliver. And because of their ability to spit out level 5 synchros, we'll get to that in a little bit. For the remaining parts of the support, you still run a ton of light attribute monsters in this deck that you can use for offense, so you run Double Honest. And with the pretty good mix of dark monsters in the middle, we run 1 Blackluster Soldier, And between Unknown Synchron, the Merlins, and your Synchro monsters, you do tend to get materials in the graveyard pretty quickly for Envoy of the Beginning. That's it for the monster lineup. On to the spells. For the Noble Arms setup, I run 2 Noble Arms Caliburn, 2 Noble Arms Destiny, 2 Noble Arms Excalibur, and 1 Gallatin, and 1 Offerdir. I always liked having these trio. The Caliburn, Excalibur, and the Destiny seem to be the most useful of the equip cards these days. Mainly for their protect effects and keeping your guys alive on the board while your opponent does try to swarm you. And a little bit less of use for the Gallatin and Offerdir because not nearly as much back row or setting is played, and sometimes offense isn't the only thing that wins you games. It's how you set up the board and how you take control from there. Plus, 8 equip cards seems to be a pretty good number, so I'm sticking with that. For the searchers, we run double tuning for the Synchron engine, and of course the 1 reinforcement of the army for the warriors of your deck. Then for the tech cards, double Kaiser Coliseum is still a staple, especially for your rank 5 guy, which is Sacred Knight of Arturgus, or Sacred Noble Knight of Arturgus. King Arturgus, we'll see the name later anyway. But basically the long and short of it, even with the swarm style of most of the decks in this format, Kaiser Coliseum, especially against Pendulum decks, with that Sacred Noble Knight guy, 4 equip cards to him, just being that menacing beast he is on the board, almost extremely hard for that deck to get over and target and get him off the field. And you've got a lockdown scenario that Noble Knights can still create in this format today, and it is fun to bring out when you bring it out. Then for the other supporter spell cards, we run double Dark Hole. 1 for 1 for the level 1s in your deck. 1 Foolish Burial, and with the Offerdir and the Synchrons, this becomes a much more important piece in the deck more than ever now. And 1 Book of Moon for the Disruptor. That's it for the spells. On to the traps. I run double Mirror Force because there are those times where you're not able to get your plays on board right away and you need some protection. And then next I run 1 Solemn Warning and 1 Bombless Trapple for the obvious reasons. That's it for the main deck. On to the extra deck. For the we'll start with the Synchro monsters. And to start things off, we run triple of the Noble Knight Losland. And this guy definitely holds his ground in the deck. Do you necessarily need 3 in the deck? Not necessarily, but like I said, this is more of a for fun build for me. But at the same time, why can't I soup up my for fun builds with 3 of these guys and keep them more alive in the deck when needed? And since we run the Synchron engine with a lot of level 4 monsters, mainly Jet Synchron, I do run double Jet Warrior for the return bounce power for the deck. 1 TG Hyper Librarian. 1 Exile Synchron. And since we're running a Tuner Synchro monster in the deck with all these level 5 targets, we of course have to throw in 1 Stardust Warrior to help lock down those summoning plays. And also because he is a warrior type monster, you can equip, I believe, the majority of these equip cards to all of your Stardust Warrior to keep them as a presence on the field so they can't just out him right away. And if you do decide to not equip him with anything, let him take the hit and wipe out their field destruction card. He does have that destruction effect that allows you to special summon the 1 warrior synchro type monster, disregarding its cost. And it helps spits out Losland on the field, and that's where you have some really good fun with your comeback plays. For the rank 4s, we run 1 Starliege Paladinimo for the double light attribute / negate and kill whatever monster he wants. 1 Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon for the Beatdown Force. 2 Auturcus King of the Noble Knights. I decided to cut this guy down to 2 of the trio of Noble Knight extra deck monsters, mainly because back row, like I said, isn't as relevant in the format. But I did keep him at 2 just because it's fun to pop pendulum scales whenever you want with this guy. And to round out the lineup, triple Sacred Noble Knight of King Auturcus. And if I had to get the name right once in this video, I'm glad it was then. And with that, that is my Noble Knight deck profile video. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And until next time.